This is Rogers TV. This program is brought to you by Rogers Xfinity, connecting you to more of what you love. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Rogers Television Grey County. This is Living Well, Giving Well. I'm Fred Wallace, along with Denise Reed. Our host charity this time around is the YMCA of Owen Sound Grey Bruce, with all kinds of marvelous services. So we hope that you will support the YMCA through a legacy gift in your will. You can visit willpower.ca and find out more how you can support the YMCA. Our guest today is Alex Wade, who's a lawyer with Middlebrough and Stevens. And before we get to Alex, we do want to reinforce what Living Well, Giving Well is all about.
Yeah, we're into our, 15th episode now.
15.
That's what it says on my notes here. 15th episode, and the title, Living Well, Giving Well, fitting in that last week we had volunteer, 2 weeks ago, volunteering in our community, living well, and how can you give well. Last week we had the Websters with the G-Man Cares. So how can you live well and give well? We'll see how that works out.
And we always stress on this program, hire a professional. You can't go wrong, whether it's legal, whether it's financial. The benefits, you just can't add them up high enough. And to that end, our guest today is Alex Wade. Alex, thank you very much for joining us. I think the last time that you and I talked, I can't remember whether it was real estate or my will, but you're involved in both of them.
Yes, thank you, Fred. I appreciate that. Very nice to meet both of you, or sit with both of you.
Yeah. Interesting that, when you came out of law school, were you a corporate lawyer? Were you a family lawyer? What did you have a specialization?
So I always knew that I wanted to practice in a smaller jurisdiction, and being from here, this just worked out for me really well. So being a local lawyer here, you do have to kind of be a generalist in your practice. So I do wills and estates, real estate, corporate commercial. And then I also have a litigation side as well. So I do family law litigation and civil litigation too. Yeah. So you have to be a well-rounded practice in a smaller jurisdiction.
And I think that's what I was getting at. And when you're here, you got to be kind of have that, all of it under your umbrella, right?
Yeah, and it's nice because a lot of it intersects with one another, right? So especially with my family law litigation, you have to know the basics of real estate, you have to know the basics of estates law, and you have to know kind of how a will may affect certain entitlements and things under the Family Law Act as well. So it's good to see that interplay and to have that knowledge base. Yeah.
You're an Alex of all trades, is what we'll call you. Tell us about the family history and your background with the legal profession and where you are now, Alex.
I'm a second generation lawyer. My dad practiced in the area for about 28 years, also a generalist, but a sole practitioner. So when I came back to the area, unfortunately, I didn't get the benefit of practicing with him. He had passed before I became a lawyer. I was a mature student when I went back to law school. But I wanted to formulate my practice in a firm setting. I wanted to be able to bounce ideas off of other legal practitioners that are just within the same halls. And so I've had a great benefit of being able to do that. I've been practicing for about 8 years now, and no complaints whatsoever.
What did you see from your father?
Oh, it was interesting. I've been working in his office since I was about 10 to 12 years old. Started off kind of cleaning the desks and cleaning the bathroom and that sort of stuff. And then as I got older, I learned to type out documents and things for him as well. So it was interesting. I've always liked that office setting and being able to assist in solving people's problems moving forward.
So we're talking about wills. Okay. Yes. Now, in my notes, I'm talking, and I need to ask about this because I really don't know. And we know lots of times legal jargon, what you need to do for your wills. You really need, even though you can do things online, let's go to the professional who can explain to you. So I'm asking you, digital assets and digital accounts.
Okay.
What are they? What's the difference? Can we do that in our 10 minutes?
So it's a very interesting topic. It's a very novel topic, especially here in Ontario. So we don't actually have any legislation governing this particular area of law. It's always best to go consult with a professional if you are going to be dealing with your digital assets and social media accounts or any other digital accounts that you might have. They're kind of broken up into different sectors. So you have digital assets or currencies, things like that, where you would have a digital wallet that maintains all of that. You need to have your password secured. You'd want to have a password manager or some other program that assists you in keeping all of those in order and keeping them secured. So you can engage with your lawyer to assist you in keeping those passwords secure as well, obviously requiring updating as you move along. But switching that to other forms of digital assets would be even things like photographs. So you pull out your iPhone, you're photographing your granddaughter's birthday. Usually those are stored on your phone, but at times our phones get to capacity and you would then subscribe to, say, an iCloud account or whatever the case may be, and submitting all your photos up to the cloud. Obviously, they require a password to access those assets as well. They really they don't really have a tangible value to them, but they would have a sentimental value.
For sure.
Especially to your loved ones after you've gone. So you want to make sure that you're always looking at the service agreements for whatever that digital platform may be that's going to support you. Generally, because we don't have legislation, that's going to be the governing contract as to what may happen with those assets.
So when I just go, I agree, click.
Everybody does.
Click. Says, read them
Guilty.
all. No, don't have time for that. I agree.
I'm guilty of it as well. And sometimes we just kind of acquiesce to whatever it's going to be, specifically because you're going to run into a jurisdictional problem with that anyways. Again, we don't have any governing legislation here in Ontario. But signing up, so getting to digital accounts, things like your Facebook account, your Instagram account, these sorts of assets, when you're signing those up, again, there's a service agreement as well. It's going to have a provision in it that says kind of what jurisdiction you're attorning to, agreeing that this is going to be governed by. So if you wanted to access them as an estate trustee after the passing of a loved one, you really would need to know what that end user had signed up for at the beginning. And at times, I suspect, like Facebook, which is kind of based out of California, you're going to be subjected to whatever Californian law may be. So even if we did have legislation here in Ontario that would dictate what could happen with your digital assets, at times if you did get an order from our court here, our Superior Court, which governs civil proceedings here, you would have to then take that to a Californian court and have it recertified in California to then govern what Facebook could do with those assets after you're done.
So can all that be avoided if so now you have your trustee of your will, and he has all the passwords to everything to shut it down or just control it or get in?
So the difficulty there, and obviously consult with the professional at the material time, because yes, you would like your estate trustee to be able to do so. We have a provision that's contained in our wills that permits our estate trustees to have full access to our digital media accounts and assets. However, it's still, that wouldn't be binding on Facebook itself. So they would have to be accessing the accounts basically as you. So you would need to have provided them with the access that they need to be able to do so, such as their passwords. So again, it's really important to have those password managers.
With all of this and the complexities that you've touched on here, Alex, are we playing with fire when we do these things, when we're on Facebook and we're posting things?
I don't think necessarily, because you're still you're actively doing this yourself. So you're the party that's posting anything on social media. Upon your passing, yes, people could have access to your Facebook accounts if they were able to hack in or guess your password. So again, maintaining a secure password or recommended password is always best. but I don't think that there's too much of an issue that you're playing with fire necessarily.
Are you dealing with it a lot? Are you dealing with this sort of thing a lot?
Interestingly, no, not really. It's
Maybe yet. Like we're still like, I think we're in the young generation of all this social media stuff. I think as we move along, it might get more.
So where we are, again, we're kind of insulated from what these programs could probably provide to us. I suspect those that are monetizing the use of social media accounts, so YouTubers, TikTokers, people that are actually making money off of these platforms, will have planning in place as to what may happen in the event of their demise. But for us regular lay people, I think that most people are just beginning to turn their minds to it, and we don't quite have the fulsome knowledge as to the potential problems that there could be in the future.
Yeah.
Finally, Alex, with passwords, how do we hide them? Where do we hide them? Who needs to know about our passwords?
So again, like I would go back to a password manager. I'd always recommend that. If you're not comfortable with the same, because essentially that's just yet another piece of software that you have kind of a master password into. Yeah. So if that's not the case, or you're just not comfortable with it, maintain them, keep them in a book somewhere, keep them with your important documents in a secure place, whether or not that's some form of a fire safe or even a safety deposit box at the bank. If you have things like digital currencies or something with a real tangible value going forward, you want to make sure that those are as secure as possible. Don't ever leave anything like your will in a safety deposit box, because your trustee needs to be appointed, or they need to prove that they're the estate trustee before they're going to be able to access that safety deposit box. And if you have the will deposited in the safety deposit box, then the trustee doesn't have the tool to prove.
I never even thought of that.
No,
Yeah. So
I mean, that's the safe spot.
Exactly.
So you got to put it there, but then how do you get into it?
Or how does the trustee prove, I'm the guy, or I'm the person?
Very
Yeah.
interesting.
Exactly.
Never even thought of that.
Yeah. So generally when we prepare wills, we keep them in a climate-controlled, fireproof vault at our office here in Owen Sound. We have the same sort of vault up in our Wyerton office. They're secure. We keep all the original documents there. I only send copies of the documents home with clients. I say keep them with your important papers, whether or not that's the everything drawer in the kitchen or a specific folder in a file folder, but something that somewhere that someone's going to find it upon your demise, and then we've got our name written on it so everybody knows where to come find us, and we'll be able to produce the documents necessary.
Alex Wade is our guest. This is Living Well, Giving Well on Rogers Television. We'll be back to talk more about some wills and digital currencies coming up. Stay with us. We have a video from one of our host charities, and that is the Saugeen Memorial Hospital, and we hope that you'll support Saugeen Memorial Hospital Foundation along with all of our charitable organizations and partners as we continue on Rogers Television Grey County with Living Well, Giving Well.
Hello, I'm Martha Bennett, and I am board chair of the Saugeen Memorial Hospital Foundation. Our mission at Saugeen Memorial Hospital Foundation is to manage and raise funds for equipment, the facility, and staff support to ensure our community and visitors have access to the best hospital care. In order to achieve that, we really strive to come up with inspiring ways to engage our community to raise funds each year. I'm inviting everyone to join us in August for our Grand Fondo Lake Huron cycle event, and we have participants from the ages of 2 to 84. In a few short years, participants and sponsors have raised over $1.6 million. You don't have to cycle but there's other ways you can help support the foundation. It's not about giving money, sometimes it's about giving your time. And you can take part in foundation fundraiser events. You can volunteer your time with the foundation. You can share foundation information on your social media page with friends and family. With over 1,700 ER visits, 3,500 x-rays and ultrasounds, and over 500,000 lab tests annually, with your aid, we can ensure the best quality care close to home. Join us this summer to come out and cycle, or this December for our annual Light the Way Radiothon. Remember, giving is not just about making a donation, it's about making a difference. Your support does just that.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Living Well, Giving Well on Rogers Television, Grey County. I'm Fred Wallace along with Denise Reed, and today our host charity is the YMCA of Owen Sound, Grey and Bruce, and I think Denise and I both use their services, and there's so many services that Denise and I don't use or don't use yet. So find out more about your local YMCA and please support them through donations, but also through a gift in your will. To that end, we have Alex Wade as our guest today. Alex is talking about a variety of topics, including digital currencies, but we also want to talk about your estate, your wills, and the do's and don'ts, and what's the primary do, or maybe it's what's the primary don't?
Well, estate planning can be so complex. Primary dues, definitely hire a lawyer. What my initial approach is with any client, I always schedule about an hour and a half to 2 hours. The reason being is that they're so involved in an estate plan that you want to make sure that you're assessing everyone's assets and liabilities, a whole host of reasons why, primarily the big scary taboo issue, probate tax. We want to try and avoid that as much as possible. We want to make sure that you have the capacity to be able to give us the instructions that we're receiving in the event that anybody challenges your will, and that's primarily the test for capacity, is knowing the nature and extent of your property and their approximate valuations. And then the third reason that I always provide to clients is you're likely to appoint either a trusted loved one or a spouse as the primary estate trustee, but in the alternative, you're going to appoint your children or somebody who's probably not quite as intimately aware of your financial circumstances as you are, obviously. And in doing so, they may not be as aware of all of your assets and liabilities. And when we do kind of our laundry list as we're going through the instruction appointment, I'm able to say to that estate trustee at a later point in time that as of the date that we drafted the will, or I took the instructions, that they had a bank account at RBC and a liability at Meridian and so on and so forth, so that we can at least start that information gathering process. It's always best to kind of keep that those documents updated or those balances updated. So I always suggest, if you can, for lack of a better moniker for it, but keep a death book available. So a death book would be something that that maintains a listing of all of your assets, of all of your liabilities, valuations of things, where you may have other assets kept, such as a safety deposit box. If you lend your nephew 10 grand to help buy the house, like, it's just something that can be jotted down, and where a promissory note or other instrument of that debt can be kept as well, so that on your passing, somebody has that that one area to go to where they have all the information contained.
Well, I mean, your trustee is probably the person that you do trust. And in previous shows, we've talked about that. You know, yep, mom and dad, we trust you, but hopefully in the way of life, you're going to be gone before. So picking a trustee that it's a bit of work to be a trustee. It's an honor.
Yeah.
But it is a bit of work. I do have, and we talked about this in previous shows, I have two sheets of paper that have where are my bank accounts, where's my life insurance, and all that. But I didn't have the assets and that too. So, but communicating that either to your family or to your trustee is crucial, so that they know, although your lawyer probably knows that as well. But updating it every year, I do it every January.
Good, and that's really good. Yeah, our suggestion is to at least review it every 3 years, but annually is even better. And that way, yeah, you're keeping a mindful eye on your own assets, especially as you're growing older as well. So if you are maintaining that listing, if anything untoward should happen, if somebody spoofs your credit card or something else, then you're more likely to be cognizant that that's happened on a shorter time frame if you're keeping on top of all of these things. Yeah, just circling back to the digital assets as well, when you're appointing an estate trustee in today's day and age, you do need them to be a little bit more technologically savvy.
Yeah, that's a challenge at this stage of our game, I think. But
Well, and that's why you don't appoint your parents, right? You appoint either a spouse, or then generally you go down the lineage line, right? You go to children or to nieces and nephews or cousins or something along that line. In today's world with two-factor authentication, one thing that your estate trustee is going to need to remember to do is probably not immediately cancel the cell phone or something else that may be used for that two-factor authentication. A lot of time we're getting text messages to say that, yeah, please insert the verification code. So those are some things that you may want to maintain as you're moving along in your role, which is a job. It's a straight up job acting as an estate trustee, and that's why there's compensation for it in case you do need to take time off of your own employment to fulfill that role.
Well, we're talking about the trustees. I'm not sure who you've listed as your trustee, but I'm pretty sure that I went with Middleborough and Stevens. So was that a good move, or is that a rare move, or is that a different move? Picking your lawyer.
Exactly. We like it because part of our services is the estates administration side of it. So yeah, if you either don't have somebody that's close to you that you think could take on that role and fulfill that role, especially during the kind of informal timelines that are imposed by our legislation. There's a graduated rate estate, so most estates should be administered within the first 36 months of passing to benefit from better taxes and these sorts of things. But one reason why you may want to appoint a professional estate trustee would be in the event that you anticipate that there may be disagreement between beneficiaries or disagreement between who you would intend to be your estate trustees. You want someone that's more objective, that's going to apply this without any sort of direct interest in the estate whatsoever. And also to promote fairness among all the beneficiaries. Perhaps there's an anticipation that you want the family cottage to remain within the family, but want to provide an option to 4 family members to buy the cottage. Well, you don't want any of them to be the estate trustee because they have then a personal interest in acquiring the property for as cheap as possible, but then they have a fiduciary relationship to the rest of the beneficiaries to do what's in their best interest, and those two just can't act in conflict of one another.
Yeah.
So choosing the lawyer was win and win. From my standpoint.
For
because,
sure.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably, personal situations who you think, whether it's your lawyers or family or whatever. We have talked in previous episodes just how important it is to have a will. Willpower.ca is a great resource that we've been encouraging just to find out stuff, to do it. Because in actuality, you're doing your family a favor, not a favor, you are helping when it comes a time when they're already grieving whatever passing, whoever it may be, that they don't have to look after that.
Exactly.
Right? And having that will set out and specific, even more specific, and updating that. Because we talked about this, Fred. Your first will was when you were 60.
How old was I? I was in my 60s,
yeah,
right?
60.
I think so, yeah.
We thought that was a little late.
Or the lawyers thought it was a little late. So is there an ideal time to have one?
If you own an asset. So basically at the time that you're 18, you should have a will. Anytime you have any money on deposit in a bank account, you have an asset. Anytime you have a vehicle, you have an asset. So you should have a will. Primarily because that's going to appoint somebody, if only, to the estate trustee has full authority over all of your property, and that includes your body after your passing. So if anybody's looking for direction as to whether you wanted cremation or interment or anything else like that, they look to the estate trustee for those instructions. Intestacy law it assists. It's there as kind of a default. It really only assists you if you're a married spouse. If you're a common law spouse, you have to have a will. There's no common law entitlement to a division of property as permitted under the Family Law Act. So if you've been in a common law relationship for a number of years, you need to have a will, or else you could be leaving your spouse with nothing.
Not going to happen. Finally, Alex, before we let you go here today on Living Well, Giving Well, we talked talk about is leaving a charitable gift, maybe to an organization or to a service club, that sort of thing. Can you expand on the benefits and the value of leaving a percentage? We've talked about 1%, and in Denise's case, that's an awfully big gift to somebody. But tell us from a legal standpoint the real benefits that you see to doing that, for leaving a portion of your will to a charity.
So it's always great to be philanthropic throughout your lifetime, right? To give and to see that those gifts are being put to use during your lifetime. However, one of the biggest benefits to giving through your will is that your estate's going to suffer the largest tax bill probably throughout your lifetime on your passing. There's a deemed disposition of every single asset that you own. If you have a RIF or an RRSP, all of that income tax comes in. If you have a secondary residence, all that capital gains tax is going to come in, and it's due and payable generally in the year of your passing. So if you're able to offset that with a gift to a charitable organization, that tax set-off can really help your beneficiaries going forward. And it just helps to improve your community. It shows that you've been constantly thinking about where you've been living and to give back. So it's a win-win all around.
Mm-hmm. How do people contact you, Alex?
You can contact us at the firm. The number is 519-376-8730. Or you can email me directly. It's just my initials, Alex, so A for Alex, M for Mike, W for Wade at mslaw.ca.
Okay, and I know my will's in place. Thank you very much. I know I'm living very comfortably. Thank you very much. So
my pleasure.
Good to have you on the show, and I hope you'll come back and join us sometime.
Thank you very much. I think I might even be coming back here shortly.
There you go. There you go. Eh?
Did we miss anything before we let you go?
Not that I could think of now. I think we've covered off everything else, but yeah, I think we've got some important points for the public to think about.
I appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
Alex Wade from Middleborough Stevens, our guest today on Living Well, Giving Well on Rogers Television, Grey County. Our edition today was being brought to you by our host charity, the YMCA of Owen Sound Grey Bruce, and we hope that you'll find it in your heart to support them and their many organizations and branches of their organization. When we come back on our next edition of Living Well, Giving Well, our guest is going to be Troy Dorr. He's a lawyer from Donnelly Murphy in Port Elgin, and we'll be talking about personal effects. That's all ahead, but thank you for joining us today on Living Well, Giving Well on Rogers, Grey County.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
You're watching an interesting local show on Rogers TV and you want to know more. That's when you head to rogerstv.com. Our website provides more information about our programs, our hosts, our schedule, and about how you too can get involved with Rogers TV. Visit us online at rogerstv.com.
My childhood was quite difficult growing up in the foster system. As a foster child, you don't get access to a lot of the same opportunities that biological children would. When I started post-secondary, the grants that I received from Children's Aid Foundation of Canada gave me the opportunity to